Hey, Pretty Girl Club, and welcome to episode 3 of Comment Foolery Exposed. In this episode, I am going to be going to the infamous Krusty Lip Alley. And of course, on Krusty Lip Alley, they are making fun of the looks of Doja Cat and Ice Spice. Once again, like I said, I noticed that there is this pattern where if you either look like Ice Spice, so for example, Ice Spice has very West African, quote unquote, unambiguous, stereotypical features. So I've noticed that if you have those features, then a lot of times darker skin, unambiguous women will make fun of you and say that you're an ugly light skin or a mediocre light skin. And I've also noticed that if you do not have a small forehead and you're lighter skin, like if you have a quote unquote big forehead or whatever, then people will also make fun of it. And I noticed that people are making fun of Doja Cat for things like maybe her head size or for having acne. And these are just examples of the foolery that you will see when you go onto these internet streets. So I saw on Lipstick Alley, someone said, Doja Cat looking hideous, face card decline. I've never seen a face card decline so bad. Bank account frozen, savings empty, collections calling, and IRS after her. And they're trying to share a picture, like an unflattering picture of Doja Cat, trying to show her at a bad angle. Someone else said, I'm not surprised. Every photo I've seen of her sans makeup is pretty plain. She's the type that cleans up really well, but without makeup is just a plain Jane. So it's funny how if we wear makeup, people feel the need to call it out, right? And they say, oh my God, you're wearing lashes. Oh, you're wearing contacts. You're wearing this. You're wearing that. You're wearing a wig. They have to call it out and embarrass us. And then if we give in to that bullying and say, okay, fine, I won't wear any makeup, then we get made fun of for being ugly. Do you see the hypocrisy? But then if you ever make fun of an unambiguous woman for being ugly, then of course that's colorist, racist, texturist, featurist, and anti-black. So this is what I don't like about when people have a victim mentality because they get to hide behind their victimhood and then become the bullies that they once hated. So that's the part I don't like is you get bullied if you wear makeup and then you get bullied if you do not wear makeup. I also saw that people were making fun of Ice Spice with no makeup. They're like sharing this photo. I don't even know if it's a real photo, but they're like Ice Spice with no makeup. Never seen a face card decline so bad. And it was the same type of post like bank account frozen, savings empty, collections calling, and IRS is after her. But notice how if you were to do this to an unambiguous woman, your whole Twitter account, your entire like social media account would get banned and you would be taken off of social media. I've just noticed that there is definitely an obsession with how we look as mixed race women. I've noticed that usually it's the unambiguous monoracial black women and men who tend to be the most obsessed with how we look because I kind of feel like an unambiguous black man probably made that meme about Ice Spice in particular because he probably desired her or whatever. And then when he saw her, I guess with no makeup or not looking how he wanted her to look, then suddenly he felt the need to create a meme about it and then like share it. And then it was picking up traction on Twitter. And this is why I say that it's important to decenter men as well, because if you decenter the male gaze, then a lot of your insecurities about your body image and your looks will begin to fade away because then you won't be so devastated by scenarios like this where like a guy is like, oh, I used to think you were cute, but now I think you're ugly. And now I'm going to make a meme about how ugly you are. And so honestly, I have a lot of empathy for women who go through this because I just feel like bullying should not be okay no matter what we do. Like even on this channel, even though sometimes people get on my nerves or people say negative things about mixed race people, you're not going to see me on here straight up like putting pictures of people and saying, oh my God, her face card declined. Like, oh, she's so ugly. Oh, look at XYZ celebrity with no makeup. Oh, she's ugly without makeup. You're not going to see me doing that on here because I just feel like it's unnecessary. And this is just proof that hurt people hurt people. But the funny thing is, Ice Spice and Doja Cat are still multimillionaires. They are still known for being some of the prettiest women like in the world. And also, can we talk about unrealistic beauty standards and how a lot of people specifically place those unrealistic beauty standards on MLS women the most because we are naturally born quote unquote close to the beauty standard or closer to the beauty standard or whatever the case may be. So I've noticed that people tend to put way more pressure on us to be above average or whatever. People will even make fun of us for being average. They will call you mediocre or a quote unquote mediocre light skin or whatever. And all of these things are just humbling tactics. I would say these are definitely the more extreme humbling tactics. It's kind of like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And so here on this channel, I actually want to share some strategies that you can use if you ever get bullied like this, because you have a few options. Number one, you can always bully back. You can always talk about how that person looks if you want to. Number two, you can pay them dust. Just keep ignoring them and getting your bags, just like how Ice Spice and Doja Cat are doing. Number three, you can actually embrace whatever qualities about yourself are quote unquote unlikable or ugly or whatever, and begin to make that the new beauty standard. That's actually how beauty trends change. It's because certain celebrities or people in high positions of influence will begin to popularize that look, and then it will no longer be considered embarrassing or unacceptable to have that. And it actually makes me think of the natural hair movement. I feel like the natural hair movement succeeded when it came to type 3 hair and normalizing the beauty of type 3 hair and popularizing the beauty of type 3 hair. I don't quite think it succeeded in the same way with type 4 hair, but that's actually a good example. It's women who are saying, no, we refuse to keep getting the relaxers. We refuse to keep upholding this beauty standard. So we're just going to reject it and completely do our own thing. And we're going to figure out innovative ways to make ourselves look good. And then we're going to walk out in public with our hair in its curly state or whatever, and like take pictures with our hair like this and compete in pageants with our hair like this, kind of like how Chelsea Chris did or other women who represented their curly hair textures. I even remember Sunkissed Alba, the YouTuber. She has type 3 hair that's kind of like mine. When she got married, she wore her hair naturally curly as well. So when people do stuff like that, they're making a statement that, hey, my hair is just as beautiful. I'm going to celebrate it just as much. And so I think that's one of the ways to combat this whole you're ugly talking point. It's by number one, decentering the male gaze, because then men can't call you ugly. If you don't care about the male gaze and if you don't care about like constantly impressing guys every moment of every day, that's one way that you can overcome those insecurities. But another way to overcome them is just celebrating yourself and celebrating however you look. So yes, if you have a quote unquote big forehead or a light skin forehead, which I think is a silly term, but it's like, if that's how you look and you want to embrace it, you have every right to embrace it. And that's why here on this channel, I try to celebrate all of the different phenotypes, all of the different skin tones, the different eye colors, all of the different hair textures. I noticed when I first created this channel, the hair textures were not as diverse because I wasn't even thinking about that when I first created this channel. But I try to show MLS women with like locks or, just with big afros and different hair textures that are not always the type 2 or type 3. But what do you guys think about people using tactics like this? Because I feel like Lipstick Alley is just a fantastic case study of what we see happening in the real world. We see these types of behaviors in the workplace. This reminded me of when the lady at my job was like, oh, I want to brush your wig, like trying to say my wig looks quote unquote nappy and like ugly or whatever, and associating nappy with being ugly. So that was already her internalized texturism right there. But what do you ladies think? Has any of this ever happened to you? Have you ever had people try to say you look ugly without makeup or that you look ugly when you're not glammed up, but then at the same time, they also say that you're doing too much when you do look glammed up? What do you think of this hypocrisy? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.